Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today, we're discussing Farscape, Season 2, Episode 18, A Clockwork Nebari. The crew are mind-cleansed in a hunt for Nebari fugitives. This was a Chiana-centric episode in some ways. How did you like this one?
Well, given how you introduce it right there, I think you could probably guess. As in, I liked it.
Yeah, I can guess. But I don't think the fact that it's Chiana-centric really matters, though. It's an entertaining episode.
I didn't find this mind-blowingly great, but I really enjoyed it. This is really entertaining, and I hope this sort of quality keeps up. This is what I want out of the show.
It's a kind of classic plotline. People are turned to a sort of different mental state, and you have to blend in. I mean, they've already done an episode like this in Season 1. The one where they're all planting stuff in the fields.
But this is a lot better.
Yeah, this is way better, because it's actually quite scary and not just some weird stuff about farmers. We get a lot of info about Chiana and the Nebari people.
I forgot that was the original plan for Chiana, how they wanted to mind cleanse her. And I was happy they brought that back and told us about the Nebari in an interesting way. It's been so long. I forgot. Oh, hey, yeah. She was being pursued and in cuffs.
We were never actually told what she had done. She just said, if you knew what I had done, you would not consider it a crime. And if what she says here is accurate, which I guess we have no reason to doubt it, then I would agree what she did is very far from a crime. Some might say the opposite of a crime.
It is weird to revisit that line now that we know what happened.
Chiana's brother also makes an appearance.
He's non-dead, aka alive.
And that's the opposite of dead.
I couldn't remember what we knew about him already. He was given an off-screen death, right? The thing just stopped beeping and she assumed he died.
Yeah, the first thing we learned is that he had died.
Okay, so alright.
All we knew of him was that his death impacted Chiana quite severely. Which actually made his living appearance quite meaningful. I think we've mentioned Neri a few times on the podcast. So, for a character that's basically not a character, he's got good mileage for his sum total of about 1 minute screen time. Nebari people are messed up.
Hey, you shouldn't draw attention to their scars.
What?
No, I know what you meant.
Their sense of justice and morality is way off the charts.
Which is cool in a sci-fi show. Not everyone would align with what humans think.
The sort of cult-like thinking is quite appealing for sort of antagonistic aliens. That combined with the fact they are seemingly quite powerful.
But they're also kind of stupid.
Are they stupid?
They leave themselves open to their plans not going well. So one example, you can avoid the mind cleanse if you conform, but you can just say, hey, I'm conforming, and then play the part and then ruin things for them. They should just force everyone to have the mind cleanse.
This is what Rigel was doing.
Yeah. It works until it doesn't, because they could plot. They could still plot against you.
They can't prevent thought crime. I bet they would love to. The way they handle stuff also encourages outright murder. Like, if you had a chance to attack your Nebari jailer, you would kill them. You wouldn't just knock them down, because they can debilitate you with their mind buttons. If you get what I mean.
Not really.
There is zero tolerance to behavioral issues, encourages a zero tolerance response.
Okay. Another gap in their planning is in the temporary mind cleanse, the drug-induced one. So it doesn't last the same amount of time for each person, which is great. They all have different physiology. It wouldn't affect their bodies the same way. I like that aspect of it. But then they have to know this. They should have planned ahead. They shouldn't just assume the drug is going to last as long as they need it to. Rigel was fine for a long time. There's so many ways their plans could go wrong.
It seems they were unaware of his metabolism. So they, I guess, miscalculated the dose. The whole eyeball thing is a bit ridiculous. I mean, it's cool. They had eyeball torture in the first season.
Oh, yeah.
With the needles. This time, they've brought it back for a little bit of pulling on those eyeballs. Here's a quote from the Farscape wiki. The human eye cannot actually be manipulated in the manner shown in the episode. In case you had any doubt that people just have like a few inches of spare optic nerve hanging around in there.
That was so unsettling.
As a visual, it works very well.
Oh, I loved it. But, oh man.
It's a bit nightmarish. It's a bit, it's grotesque.
It's the most disturbing thing they've shown so far, even more than the hand melting away. I don't want my eyeball grabbed. And it was bad enough just looking at John with his the skin stretched to prepare for the eyeball grabbing.
The sort of Clockwork Orange style harness.
Yeah, that's bad enough.
Well, lucky for you, it's not possible. If someone tried that, it would just rip your eyes out, which is probably a lot worse, I guess.
That's comforting / not comforting at all.
It seems like the way that whole eyeball thing was set up was just impractical.
Well, I think a big part of it is being uncomfortable.
It was something that was not put in the episode because of a sound scientific basis. It was just really cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
I mean, in practical terms, you probably just want to inject them with the drug. And then when they are coerced into behaving, get them to report for repeat injections. So you maintain a level of dosage. I mean, that would be the practical way of implementing this.
I dismissed all practicality because of how cool it looked.
That's fair enough.
I really like that John had multiple things inside his head competing for control of his brain.
Oh, God. Yeah, because Harvey played a part here. I suspect John would have fallen to the mind cleansing very easily, but it seemed like Harvey was pumping him full of adrenaline or something. He seemed really hyped.
He spared us from permanent Surfer John.
I really enjoyed Surfer John. Not because it was like convincing, but just because of how silly it was.
Same. It was so stupid that I loved it. I kept asking myself, why does he think that's what his brain would do if aggression were taken away?
It's like some dad trying to do an impression of a stoned teen. This is what it's like, yeah.
I saw Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This is what it's like, right?
Dude. I guess they don't want people thinking that he's actually mind cleansed. It's very clear to the viewers at home what's going on. I don't know. They probably, like a lot of things in this episode, just did it because it was style over substance.
But there is plenty of substance here. It's not simply style. I think that's why that stuff works.
It's a solid story. There's backstory to Chiana. There's a sort of a conspiracy thing where John and Rigel are trying to trick them, but it's Farscape. They don't like to just say, okay, here's a decent episode. Let's just film it from start to finish, edit it, and say that's us done. They like to put their unique spin on things. Each episode seems like they're trying to, they set out to do something kind of unique. So here we have a weird mix of torture and comedy.
Farscape is at its best when it mixes things like that, when it's not too heavy on one mode.
They show a very kind of gritty, dark kind of universe. There's a lot of imperfections and everything. I once read a good article about how the original Star Wars films had that kind of thing going on, whereas the modern ones or certainly the prequels, are a lot more perfect. Just in everything, like set design, all the enemies and stuff.
Oh yeah, everything's shiny and new.
Yeah, it makes it feel a lot less believable. But Farscape is pretty gritty at the best of times. So when it gets dark, it can get pretty heavy pretty quick.
Farscape never feels sterile or anything like that, and I love that aspect of it.
They do so much stuff that's very physical with the characters. Not just the eye thing, but for example, John punches Rigel in the face in this episode, and that's, I mean, in character terms, that's a grown adult human punching a small, almost like child-size alien in the face. That's not great. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. Like characters grappling with each other and throwing each other around. And what I'm getting at is that it's very raw. It's a lot of emotions, like on display, physically on display.
And that's something they all share. It's not a trait that's relegated to one character. Oh, here's our one character that lashes out all the time. They're always prodding each other or whatever.
If a character gets angry, they'll probably smash something. On a lot of shows, characters don't get that physical. They don't smash stuff up or yell or punch each other that often, which I find is a bit, like, it makes sense. If it's a police procedural or something, you don't expect them to be up in each other's faces the whole time. I don't know. It's really hard to define what makes parts of this show feel very alive.
Not totally related, but I'm bringing it up anyway. Really bad physical stuff always happens to Pilot.
Oh, because, yeah, he got stabbed by the spikes on the collar.
Injected with drugs, made him foam at the mouth a bit.
I guess Rigel and Pilot are good candidates for physical torture because they can. If they need to stab Pilot, they can just stab Pilot.
Rip an arm off.
Yeah. The amount of paperwork for ripping a human's arm off is unbelievable. Often it's easier and cheaper just to use special effects.
I wasn't grossed out when Erin was stitching up whatever her name was, because I couldn't tell what I was looking at first.
Varla.
Also, it's hard to stand out in an episode where an eyeball gets plucked out.
Yeah. They didn't show, like, she was stitching up the cut. But, well, where even was that on her body?
I don't know.
It just shows you a patch. I think that was on her side or something.
It was an extreme close-up, so I had no idea.
Yeah, it's totally contextless, so... Plus all the blood is blue.
Too many levels of detachment.
That may be deliberate. Then again, they did show a hand melting, so who knows? Aaron and Dargo were killed as well by electricity.
Oh, yeah.
It's not how electricity works. Like if you put two live wires that are connected together on a wet floor, what would happen is the electricity would flow through the wires.
But you don't know how space electricity works.
That's true. I don't.
It has this property where it does exactly what we saw.
Well, instead of taking a direct route from one wire to another through perhaps some water or wet fluid sort of stuff, it instead goes from one wire all the way around the room, up people's legs and down their other, through what must be almost the most high resistance path it can possibly take, apart from directly going through the air.
Yeah, it's called meandering electricity.
Okay. If that's the case, then what is it supposed to have done? Gone into their bodies and basically electrocuted them? They're dead now.
Yeah, they're
R.I.P.
dead. They're toast. Soggy toast.
The safety protocols are a mess. Someone should put fuses on those. And assuming there's not fuses, as there doesn't seem to be, it's strange that they ever stopped getting shocked.
Well, that's a property of meandering electricity.
It gets bored.
Yeah. See, it meanders because it gets bored. And then once it's satisfied, it just gives up.
Goes back to doing its job.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That scene is weird, though. When they drop to the floor, I thought, how am I supposed to interpret this other than they're dead?
It's, one of these things, because of the water and electricity, that's a very clever, cunning trick that John's pulled, except that's not a clever, cunning trick. That's not even how it works. And they wanted him to do that trick with the electricity, and they didn't really think of like, hey, wouldn't these people be dead? If electricity doesn't kill or severely injure you, you're probably going to be okay straight away. It'll tingle a bit, but after a bad shock, you should be able to just, probably get up. If it's very strong, then you might have sort of internal damage. But considering how they reacted, if it was that bad, then yeah, they might probably be killed or something.
They had a good run.
Yeah, they were okay by the end, so I guess they got better from dying.
Maybe Zan saved them off screen because she didn't do anything in this episode.
More and more, she becomes a background character.
She pressed someone else's mind button once. That's it.
Yes.
Isn't that an instance of aggression? She's causing harm on someone. Well, it's for the greater good.
But they do that all the time, though. Their morals make very little sense. Hey, that's bad, so I'll torture you relentlessly. And without even, questioning anything. Because sometimes people will break the rules for the greater good.
I bet Zan wasn't even drugged up. She just wanted to shock him.
She was in the cage at the end, so... Was she? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah, she was. She never came and found John when he was doing silly stuff. She never appeared really at all.
In an episode where she has an excuse to be useless because she had her mind compromised, she still was able to be more useless and not in the episode.
What you said earlier about how they only cleanse you if you're needing to be cleansed, which I don't know if that's the case with this temporary cleansing. I mean, that's something that Zan could... She would be good at being calm and serene and being a good person. I guess they just did the cleansing to everyone to be sure that it would work.
Which they should do. They shouldn't take that chance.
You highlighted a bunch of other silly gaps in their plan, though, so I could understand if they didn't. So does John know about Harvey?
No.
He mentioned, or rather, he started to mention it.
Yeah, I said there was a flash.
But then he cut himself off and said, never mind.
I didn't read too much into that. I saw it as, I don't want to get into this right now because it's weird. Let's just focus on fixing this problem.
Yes, it seems like he's aware that something is up, but not... It's, yeah.
If I survive, I'll figure this out later.
Yeah, the way he phrased it seemed like he didn't really understand it. When John told Pilot to turn off the simulation and Pilot said it was real, did that trick you?
No, because we already saw Crace by that point. Without Crace, I would have been tricked.
It could have started as a simulation, and then a real command carrier could have started attacking them.
Yeah, but I think Pilot would have become more frantic or something. He was constant throughout.
He's a good actor.
Sure, but I kind of wish they didn't have that bit with Crace because I would have been fooled. And that is a scary thing to think about. Hey, let's try this plan, and then the thing you don't want to happen happens. And I guess they can simulate impacts?
Yeah. They've been doing that since original series Star Trek. You just shake the camera. Or, I guess, the ship.
But sparks would fly.
Yeah, all the consoles and conduits and stuff are loaded with explosives. That's standard on every starship, on every show.
Just in case you had to fake a conflict.
How many people in space have been killed by exploding keyboards? It's a way of evening up space battles so that they can shoot each other and keyboards will explode and monitors and doors and other things you would not expect to explode, thus causing, injuries, maybe some fatalities, without them actually having to go through the whole rigmarole of blowing up the whole ship, because ships are actually quite difficult to build and very expensive. So everyone just agrees to load the ships with little charges of explosives to make space. It's like the Geneva Convention, but for space war.
I like it.
So, of course, Pilot can detonate them manually.
That makes sense.
China was spreading STDs around the galaxy.
Yeah, not a surprise.
Well, that didn't surprise you at all?
No, she's been portrayed as an overly sexual person.
And that seems like a sort of Nebari thing.
Yeah. But we've been mostly limited to Chiana, so...
I guess we see her race through her character. But seems like a solid plan to me. Like, if you talk about long term...
Oh yeah, it'll creep through the population at a rate that will surprise. It'll be subtle at first, and then by the time people realize what's going on, it's too late.
Well, if it has no symptoms, they may never realize. Give it a few generations, it should be pretty widespread. Might take a while to spread throughout the whole galaxy, but it'll get there. Give it a few 100 years or something. Although the guy said it was going to activate hopefully not too long from now. But that guy was a spy, so I don't know.
He was a very boring spy.
Yeah, well, spying's not all James Bond stuff. It's It's a lot of paperwork and administration and stuff.
That's a good point. I've been ruined by what a spy is. In practical terms, you can't be flashy and charismatic. You have to be forgettable.
Yeah, it's just some dude's secretary. Can you even remember his name?
Nope. Something with an N?
Milak?
No, that's not it.
Yeah.
No.
It is. That really is his name.
I don't believe you.
Well, he's a spy, so like you said, he has to be forgettable. Do you have a quote from this episode that you'd like to share? And I think I might know what you're going to pick.
Oh? Guess.
Well, no, on you go.
This is the shortest quote I've selected, I think.
Yeah, I think I know what's going.
I'm nobody's puppet.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. It fits in
so
really
funny.
well. It fits in so well to the dialogue. But then it just hits you like a really subtle fourth wall break.
Complete speculation on my part, but I think someone came up with that line a long time ago, but did not want to use it unless it was appropriate. It was a good line and it slipped in well, because that could be a clunker of a line, but it works so well in this episode. I loved it.
It's a line that works because of how nonchalantly it's used. Like, if this was in early season 1 and he'd come out with that, it would have just sunk like a brick.
Yeah.
But we're so used to Rigel as just a character. He just slips that in the middle of a heated argument that where the context is perfect. It fits like a jigsaw piece. And it's just, yeah, it works really well.
It's really easy to imagine that line being misused, where that's a response to something else, and the camera lingers on him, and Rigel has a self-satisfied smile. Well, I'm no one's puppet.
Yeah, but dumb Tish kind of rim shot at the end.
Part of a quick exchange, and it's great.
It works because it slips in there like a knife. There is another funny thing that Rigel said that you may not have heard when John is going to fix the cabling and he says, "Bitchin." It fades out and you can just hear Rigel saying, "Bitchin."
Oh, I didn't hear Rigel saying
that. Yeah, he repeats it back. It's during the fade out, so it's quite quiet.
Oh, man.
Bitchin', man.
Bitchin'.
Let's move on to the next episode then.
If you say so.
The race to find Jothi continues.
I forgot about that race.
Yeah, that's where they went at the start of the episode, was to find information on Jothi's location. Also, John has named his gun.
The race to find Jothi is that event in the Olympics that no one watches.
Which one is that?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
There you go. Well, let's watch the next episode then.